The champagne was already open. Mom had tears in her eyes, the good kind. Dad was on his second glass talking about how proud he was. My brother Marcus stood at the head of the table, phone in hand, showing everyone the signed purchase agreement. The waterfront home. My waterfront home. The one I'd bought 3 years ago for $520,000 with money I'd saved for 8 years working 60-hour weeks as a logistics coordinator. The buyers are incredible, Marcus said, swiping through photos. Young tech couple. They've already hired the moving company. Final walkthrough is tomorrow at 10, closing at 2. The wire transfer instructions went to escrow this morning. My sister-in-law Christina raised her glass. To Marcus. Finally getting the funding his business deserves. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, trying to process what I was hearing. What waterfront home? Marcus didn't even look at me. The Bellingham property. The one that's been sitting empty. My hands went cold. The Bellingham property wasn't sitting empty. I'd been there 2 weeks ago checking on the seasonal maintenance. I rented it out as a vacation property 9 months of the year and used it myself during summers. Last year alone, it generated $47,000 in rental income. Marcus, I said, my voice very calm. That's my house. He waved his hand dismissively. Technically, yeah. But you're never there. And I need this, Jordan. The tech startup needs capital. This is the break we've been waiting for. I looked around the table. Everyone was nodding. Everyone knew. Mom leaned forward. Honey, you have your apartment. You don't need 2 properties. Marcus's family. His business could change all our lives. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't announce itself with thunder. It arrives quietly in the comfortable dining room where you've eaten Sunday dinners for 23 years, with people who look exactly like your family but suddenly sound like strangers. Who signed the sale documents? I asked. Marcus shrugged. I did. I'm your brother. I have your power of attorney. No, you don't. Mom gave me the documents from when you had that surgery 3 years ago. You never revoked it. He was right about one thing. 3 years ago, when I had an emergency appendectomy, I'd signed a limited medical power of attorney so someone could make healthcare decisions if I was unconscious. It expired after 30 days. It certainly didn't give anyone authority to sell my assets. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. There it was, the escrow company's automated message, sent to me as the property owner on record. Wire instructions. Closing timeline. Buyer's inspection scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. But there was another email sent 47 minutes ago. The subject line, urgent ownership verification required. I opened it. Dear property owner, our title search has revealed a discrepancy in the pending sale of 4739 Harborview Drive. The individual listed as seller, Marcus Chin, POA, does not appear on the current deed. Sole owner on record, Jordan Chin. No power of attorney is registered with the county. We cannot proceed with closing without direct authorization from Jordan Chin. Please contact our office immediately. Patricia Voss, Senior Title Search Officer, Cascade Title Company. I looked up from my phone. The table had gone quiet. Marcus was staring at me, his face pale. When did you get that? He asked. 47 minutes ago. I stood up, phone in hand. Excuse me. I need to make a call. I walked out to the back porch. The February air was sharp and cold, but I needed it. Needed to feel something real and biting while my family sat inside celebrating the theft of my home. Patricia Voss answered on the second ring. Miss Chin. Yes. I just saw your email. Thank God. Her relief was audible. I've been trying to reach you for 2 hours. Miss Chin, are you aware that someone is attempting to sell your property? I just found out. At dinner. 10 minutes ago. There was a pause. I see. I'm very sorry. This is unfortunately more common than people realize. The power of attorney your brother presented was a medical POA, expired, and even if it were valid, it wouldn't grant authority to sell real estate. When I called the number listed for you in the file, your brother answered and said you were traveling in Europe and had given him full authority. I was at work until 5:30 today. I've been in Seattle the entire month. The buyers are devastated, Patricia said. They're a young couple, first-time homebuyers. They sold their condo, they've packed, they hired movers. They had no idea they were participating in fraud. Fraud. The words sat heavy in my chest. What happens now? I asked. The sale is void. I've already notified the buyers and their agent. I've also flagged this with our legal department. Miss Chen, I want you to know, your brother forged your signature on multiple documents. That's not a civil matter. That's criminal. I thought about Marcus inside, probably panicking now. Thought about Mom's tears of pride. Thought about Dad's second glass of champagne. Thought about 3 years of Sunday dinners where they'd made comments about my empty investment property, and how I should think about family. There's a psychological concept called the sunk cost fallacy. You keep investing in something that's failing because you've already invested so much. For 3 years I'd kept showing up to Sunday dinner, kept trying to maintain family peace, kept absorbing their criticism because I'd already invested 23 years in these relationships. The sunk cost of family. But sometimes the only way to stop losing is to walk away from the table. What do I need to do? I asked Patricia. First, I'd suggest filing a police report immediately. Second, you may want to consider a restraining order preventing your brother from accessing or attempting to access your property. Third, you should check all your other accounts and assets. This level of entitlement doesn't usually stop at one property. My hands were shaking now, but not from cold. From rage that had been building for years. Every time they'd called my 60-hour work weeks obsessive. Every time they'd suggested I was selfish for not lending Marcus money for his previous 3 failed business ventures. Every time they'd made me feel guilty for having boundaries. I'll file the report tonight, I said. Thank you, Patricia. You saved me from losing everything. Just doing my job. Title searches exist exactly for this reason. I'm sorry your family put you in this position. When I walked back inside, the dining room had the hollow silence of people who know they've been caught. Marcus was on his phone typing frantically. Mom was crying, the bad kind now. Dad was refilling his wine glass. The sale is cancelled, I said. The title search officer flagged it as fraud. Marcus slammed his phone down. Jordan, come on. You can fix this. Just call them back and authorize it. I already told the buyers. You forged my signature on legal documents, I said. You tried to steal $780,000 from me. Steal? You're my sister. It's not stealing when it's family. There's another psychological concept, moral disengagement. It's how good people justify bad actions. They reframe theft as helping family. They reframe forgery as taking initiative. They construct an entire narrative where they're the hero and you're the villain for having boundaries. How much? I asked. How much were you planning to give me from the sale? Marcus shifted. We were going to talk about that after closing. 0, I said. The answer is 0. Mom stood up. Jordan, please. His business is on the line. He has investors waiting. If this falls through, he'll have to face the consequences of his choices. Like he should have done with the coffee shop in 2019. And the consulting firm in 2021. And the cryptocurrency venture in 2022. Dad's voice was hard. Those were learning experiences. No, I said. Those were failures he never took responsibility for because you kept bailing him out. With your money, with your connections, with your excuses. But this time he tried to bail himself out with my house. I pulled up my bank app. Logged in to show them something I'd never shown them before. My savings account. The one I'd been building since I was 16 years old, working retail, then restaurants, then finally landing my career job. $127,000, I said. That's what I have saved. You know how I saved it? By saying no. No to Marcus when he asked for $15,000 for the coffee shop. No to family vacations I couldn't afford. No to every time you told me I should be more generous with family. I have this money because I have boundaries. And Marcus tried to steal not just my house, but 8 years of 60-hour work weeks. Christina's voice was quiet. We didn't know you'd said no before. Because he told you I was selfish. That I didn't support family. That I had money sitting around doing nothing. I looked at Marcus. What did you tell the buyer's agent about me? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Patricia told me, I said. You said I was traveling in Europe. That I'd given you authority. That I wanted to sell. Every word was a lie. I pulled out my laptop from my bag. I'd stopped by my apartment before dinner, had a feeling I might need documentation. I opened the file I'd created over the past 3 years. Every text message where Marcus had asked for money, every time my parents had pressured me to invest in his ventures, every Sunday dinner comment about my selfish savings strategy. The ghost ledger, I'd mentally called it. The accounting of emotional costs that don't show up on bank statements. Thanksgiving 2022. Marcus announces another business failure. Family commiserates. Nobody asks about my promotion. Emotional cost. Invisibility. Christmas 2022. Parents suggest I should loan Marcus $20,000. I decline. They tell me I'm not a team player. Emotional cost. Made to feel like bad person for having boundaries. Easter 2023. Marcus makes joke about my empty investment property. Everyone laughs. I mention the $47,000 rental income. Topic changed immediately. Emotional cost. Success treated as embarrassment. July 2023. I mention saving for potential down payment on second property. Mom says, "Why do you need more when Marcus needs help?" Emotional cost. Ambition reframed as greed. I could feel my voice steady as I spoke. For 3 years, you've made me feel guilty for being responsible. For having boundaries. For not funding Marcus's dreams with my sacrifices. You taught me that family means giving until you have nothing left. But I learned a different lesson. I learned that people who love you don't try to steal your house. The silence at that table was absolute. "I'm filing a police report tonight," I said. Patricia Voss from Cascade Title Company is providing documentation of the forged signatures. The buyers are also filing a complaint, since they sold their condo and hired movers based on fraudulent representations. "Marcus, you should probably call a lawyer." "Jordan, please," Mom said. "He's your brother. And I'm his sister," I said. "But apparently that only matters when he needs something from me." I packed up my laptop. Put on my coat. At the door I turned back one last time. Dad's voice. "If you do this, you'll tear this family apart." "No," I said. "Marcus did that when he forged my signature. You did that when you celebrated him stealing from me. I'm just the one who's refusing to pretend it didn't happen." I filed the police report at 9:47 p.m. that night. The officer was sympathetic but not surprised. "Happens more than you'd think," he said. "Family members assume they have rights to each other's assets." By Monday morning I'd done 4 things. Changed all my passwords, removed my parents as emergency contacts from every account, called a real estate attorney and blocked my brother's number. By Monday afternoon the buyers had called me directly. The young tech couple. Their names were Amy and David. They were heartbroken but understanding. "We're so sorry," Amy said. "We had no idea. Your brother seemed so legitimate." "I know," I said. "He's had practice." "Is there any chance," David asked hesitantly, "that you might actually want to sell? We fell in love with that house." I thought about it. About the waterfront property I'd worked so hard to buy. About the rental income that had given me security. About whether I wanted to sell it under these circumstances. "Not right now," I said. "But I appreciate you asking honestly. If I ever do sell, I'll remember that you're buyers who actually respect ownership." The legal process moved faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks, Marcus received formal notification. Police investigation for forgery and attempted fraud. Civil suit for attempted theft and emotional distress. Restraining order preventing him from coming within 500 feet of any property I owned. My parents called once. I let it go to voicemail. Mom's message: "You're destroying this family over a misunderstanding. Marcus made a mistake. You're being cruel." I deleted it. There's a saying about revenge. It's not rage, it's patience sharpened into strategy. But this wasn't revenge. This was protection. I wasn't trying to destroy Marcus. I was trying to save myself from people who thought my boundaries were negotiable and my assets were communal property. 3 months later I got an email from Patricia Voss. "Miss Chin, I wanted to update you. Your case helped us identify a pattern. Your brother had approached 2 other title companies with similar POA documents, attempting to sell properties belonging to other family members. You weren't his first target. The county prosecutor is now investigating him for elder financial exploitation. One of those properties belonged to your grandfather. Thought you should know." I sat with that information for a long time. My grandfather. The man who'd taught me to save money, who'd celebrated when I bought the waterfront house, who told me at the closing, "You did this yourself. That's worth more than any inheritance." Marcus had tried to steal from him too. I called my grandfather that night. He was 83, lived alone, still sharp as ever. "Jordan," he said warmly. "I was hoping you'd call. Your parents said you've been busy." "Grandpa, I need to ask you something. Did Marcus ever talk to you about selling your lake cabin?" Long pause. "How did you know?" "Because he tried to sell my waterfront house. Forged my signature." "Jesus Christ." Another pause. "He told me the cabin needed expensive repairs. Said he could handle the sale, get me a good price, save me the trouble." I told him no. He kept pushing. Eventually, I told him if he mentioned it again, I'd write him out of my will. "He tried with me too," I said. "Almost succeeded. Title company caught it the day before closing." "That boy," Grandpa said, and his voice was heavy. "Your grandmother and I gave him so many chances. Business loans, connections, advice. We thought we were helping. Turns out we were just teaching him that consequences were optional." "I filed a police report," I said. "And a civil suit. Mom says I'm tearing the family apart." "No," Grandpa said firmly. "You're protecting yourself. Your grandmother always said, family is supposed to be your fortress, not your prison. If they're stealing from you, they're not family. They're thieves who happen to share your blood." 2 weeks after that conversation, Grandpa updated his will. I know because his attorney called me. The lake cabin, the one Marcus had tried to convince him to sell, now belonged to me. The cash assets were split between me and my cousin Rachel, who'd also declined to fund Marcus's ventures. Marcus's inheritance. $1 and a note. "You tried to steal from family. You get nothing, and I hope you learn why." 6 months after Sunday dinner, I got a letter. From Marcus. Handwritten. 3 pages. It started with, "I'm in therapy now." It continued with, "I'm starting to understand what I did." It ended with, "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm finally taking responsibility." I read it twice. Put it in a folder. Didn't respond. Some people think forgiveness means reconciliation. It doesn't. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself to stop carrying the weight. Reconciliation is something you do with someone else, when they've proven they're safe to trust again. Marcus hadn't proven that yet. Maybe he never would. 1 year after Sunday dinner, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi Jordan, this is Amy. The couple who almost bought your house. I know this is random, but David and I just wanted to let you know. We bought a different waterfront property. We're happy. And we think about your situation sometimes. About how strong you had to be to stand up to your family. It inspired us to set better boundaries with our own families. Thank you for that. We hope you're doing well." I stared at that message for 5 minutes. Then I typed back, "Congratulations on your home. And thank you. That means more than you know." I still own the waterfront house. Last year it generated $52,000 in rental income. I've increased my savings to $168,000. I bought a new car, used but new to me. I started therapy too, working through the guilt that comes from choosing yourself over family expectations. My parents and I don't speak. Marcus is in a court-mandated financial responsibility program as part of his plea deal. He pled guilty to attempted fraud, received probation and community service. Christina divorced him last month. I have Sunday dinners now with my grandfather and cousin Rachel. We talk about books, politics, her kids, my work. Nobody asks me to fund their dreams. Nobody makes me feel guilty for my savings account. Nobody tries to steal my house. Last Sunday, Grandpa raised his glass. To Jordan, the only person in this family who knew the difference between generosity and being a doormat. Rachel laughed. To boundaries. I raised my glass too. To families we choose and assets we protect. The waterfront house sits on Bellingham Bay, facing west. On clear evenings, the sunset turns the water gold and pink. I was there 2 weeks ago, sitting on the deck. I'd refinished myself, drinking coffee I'd paid for with money I'd earned. My phone buzzed. Mom's number. I'd never unblocked her. The voicemail notification appeared. I deleted it without listening. Some people would call that cruel. I call it survival. The people who tried to steal from me are still alive, still talking, still telling their version where I'm the villain. But I'm the one with the waterfront view. I'm the one with the savings account. I'm the one who sleeps at night knowing that when someone tried to take everything I said no. And that no saved my life.